Let's talk to Colonel James Sunderland, former Conservative MP. Peter in Norwich, first of all. Very good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Mike.
Do British Army veterans who served in Afghanistan get a free house? Do they get unlimited social care and public money? I think not. Put British people first. Surely that is not racist. It's common sense. I'm getting a lot of complaints this morning, James, about this ridiculous story that people who we've rescued from Afghanistan, who may or may not wish to be revealed as those who actually helped the British forces, because many of them didn't, because they've all come anyway. The idea that they're now going to sue us because we didn't do it soon enough is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you look back to what happened a couple of years ago, there was a leak. It was a spreadsheet of about 18,000 names, people that had been linked with the British government in Afghanistan, people who were at risk. And quite clearly, when the leak happened, I suspect that the British government at the time, MoD, simply accelerated a process that may have happened anyway by virtue of the fact that these people were applying for the Arab scheme. But to date, I believe that the figure that's come across is about 6,000. There are protocols in place now that John Healey's put in place again, which is to make sure that those that are coming here are those who are genuinely at risk and genuinely asylum seekers.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is John Healey, the Secretary of State for Defence, has already admitted that many of those who are already here, of the 18,500, would not have actually qualified under the scheme, because the only reason they were brought here because of sort of panic by the last government, who said, well, we better just get everybody in because they might get killed by the Taliban. And of those who are still waiting to come in, shall we say, if they're in so much danger, how come they haven't been killed already?
I was a PPS private secretary at the MoD at the time. I wasn't aware of this decision at all until 2 days ago when I saw it in the news, and I was also quite shocked by it. What I can tell you, though, as a military man, and I talk with a straight back, I hate woke. I can't stand the cancel culture or this woke culture that we've got in the UK at the moment, and that's why I became a politician. And I was voted out, as you well know, because of the split of the reform vote. I'm quite concerned about it because we need to make sure that everybody coming to the UK and settling in the UK is a bona fide, legitimate claimant. We do have genuine asylum seekers that I believe that we do have some responsibility for. But we've got to draw a clear line between these Afghans that have come here that are in danger, and between that and all of these people coming here with no claim whatsoever to be in the UK. And it's those that we need to turn around.
Right. But how is that going to work now? Because having given them sort of sanctuary, if you like, and many of them have come here over the course of, say, the last 18 months or so, possibly even longer. I know that an awful lot of people came towards the back end of 2023. Many of them came in February 24. We've had people telling us precisely when they've arrived because they've seen them arriving in their streets, they've seen them arriving in their communities, and they've seen them, you know, kind of en masse being given free housing. And so that's all been happening while it was being denied, if you like. But I mean, having done that, what are you going to do? You can't really go down now through the list and start saying to people, well, you know, we've given you this house and we've got your children in school, but I'm afraid we're going to kick you out and send you back to Afghanistan. It's not going to happen, is it?
No, I think once people are here, they're here. I mean, you know, I'm not condoning in any way the mass welcoming of groups of people who want to be in the UK because it's a better place to live than where they've come from. I think in this particular case, though, we do need to recognise the threats that existed. A lot of these people have been killed by the Taliban. There was a clear threat to life when that chaos happened, when the government collapsed in Afghanistan. And I think what we need to be doing, Mike, is rather than demonising people, we need to recognise the contribution that they made to the British government. We need to be absolutely clear with our own diligence so that people are coming here that are bona fide only.
Yeah. But that's the government's fault, James. It's the Conservative government's fault that people are being demonised. It's not anybody else's fault. It was a military man who worked in the Ministry of Defence who made the initial blunder, right? John Healey says we're not going to have a witch hunt to find out who it is and go after them. Well, I don't see why not, because it's costing us billions and billions of pounds as a result, right? But the reason that people are being demonised is because we don't know who they are. And, you know, you being a military man will know for sure that the numbers of people helping the British Army, which was a relatively small contingent of a few thousand soldiers, right? Many of whom fought bravely, some of whom died. It was a horrible situation, you know, but there are not 100,000 Afghans that helped British troops. There are not even 20,000. It's a hugely inflated number, surely.
Yeah, but I think different figures are doing the rounds, Mike, once again. I mean, figures of 100,000 doing the rounds, 18,000 names on the spreadsheet, 6,000 that are here. So ultimately, what we have to do if this policy is to fly, and my view is that it has flown under successive governments, rightly or wrongly, we just got to make sure that that diligence is done so that people coming
But it's too late, though, isn't it?
Absolutely bona fide. Yeah, it's too late. It's too late for those that are here right now. It's too late for the millions that have come here under Blair's open doors policy. You know, the Conservative government, criticise them at will if you want to, but don't forget the Conservatives got Brexit done. For the first 10 years of our time in government, we were beholden to EU law. We got out of the EU, we delivered Brexit. Then for the following 3 years, we put legislation in place, Nationalities and Borders Act, Illegal Migration Bill, Rwanda Safety Plan, which effectively fixed our borders. In my humble view, had Rishi not made the decision to go early, we would have had flights off the ground and we would have ultimately stopped this nonsense that's the small boats in the channel. So ultimately, the Tories have been demonised as well, but we were moving in the right direction. We've now got a situation, because of how we voted last year, that we've got this completely woke, useless Labour government. We're now seeing that in terms of employment, in terms of inflation, in terms of the business bill. So ultimately, you get what you wish for. And ultimately, I was confident as a Tory MP that we would have solved this had we had a bit more time.
Yeah, but the problem now for the Tories is that, despised as they were, and that you saw the results of that at the last election, effectively, they're now even more despised because of this superinjunction, which Grant Shapps applied for and got, in order to try and keep the public from even ever finding out about this dreadful blunder and ridiculous policy.
Yeah, look, I'm not defending the policy at all because I wasn't aware of it myself until.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is you can't just stop. You know, you can't just decide unilaterally that we're going to bypass parliamentary democracy, we're going to bypass electoral democracy, and we're just going to keep things from the public because we don't want to be embarrassed about it. That's not on.
Yeah, again, I mean, Ben Wallace, who I like and trust enormously, made the point 2 days ago that the injunction was necessary to maintain security and to investigate the leak.
The initial injunction, yes, it was, but not the super injunction that then came later.
But Mike, I'm trying to be balanced here. What's interesting here is if a judge made the decision only 2 days ago to lift that super injunction, the reasons for doing it in the first place and then being upheld by successive defence secretaries and by successive governments, there must have been some legitimacy for the reason in the first place. So I think ultimately what happened was a bit of a scandal. I think that what we need to be doing basically is getting to the bottom of it. I welcome the transparency now, but it's only 2 days ago that the Labour government saw fit to lift the injunction, and only 2 days ago that a judge saw fit to remove the, to remove it. So I think we need to be quite clear in the reasons for it. I think the reasons were valid. I think there was a risk to security for these people. They had paid their debt to the UK in most cases. Their lives were in danger. And I think
but how many people are we talking about? I mean, you know, you're a military guy, James. You tell me, how many people are in terms of actual, assisting the British forces in Afghanistan? Is it hundreds? Is it 2,000? It's certainly not money more than that, is it?
Well, I think it's easy to work out. I mean, I think there was a deployment there of about 10,000 troops at any one time, but over a period of 15 years or so. So ultimately, that figure of 18,000 is probably about right in terms of those who are interpreters, those who
how can you have more interpreters than you got soldiers, though?
Well, interpreters and soldiers and cleaners and staff and security staff and drivers, the list goes on. So I think the 18,000 figure for those that applied for asylum is probably near enough. What we use, but doesn't mean to say that of those 18,000 they all come here. Checks have to happen. There has to be clear evidence, clear diligence, clear assurance done. I am hopeful that given the pressure on services in the UK and given the current political climate, that those checks were done by both governments. But again, just to make the point, I was a military man. I've served all over the world. I know what these people did for us, and we should be giving them a debt of gratitude. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we bring them and their families to the UK and give them a blank check. And I understand completely why people are cross about it, in the same way that it should be really, really cross with the illegal migration figures and the legal migration figures that are just too high over the last 30, 40 years.
And the numbers of Afghan men who are coming to this country and committing crimes, because we know that's a fact as well, and that's what you've got to put into the whole mix. James, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Colonel James Sunderland, former Conservative MP.